All right, we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the lovely city of Dubai, if you couldn't quite tell on the skyline behind us. Yeah. But I am joined today by my good friend, Dylan Madden, who I like to coin as the king of freelancing. Because this man, not only have you worked extensively as a freelancer for a very, very long time,
Yes.
like you've found so many different ways to make money online without having a conventional job,
Right.
and from anywhere
Yeah.
in the world. And
Anywhere.
now you literally teach that to young men as well,
Right.
who are repeating your success.
Mhm.
And my channel isn't necessarily known for teaching guys how to make money, but we're good friends and we're in town together, and I wanted to bring that to you guys so you can, in the live chat, you can pick Dylan's brain as much as you like.
Yeah. Any questions? Drop them.
And I'm going to be basically going through your story and elaborating on how you got to where you're at now, and all the different little jobs and skills you've picked up along the way.
Okay.
You started, I think, you started freelancing. I remember we had this conversation in Romania.
In Romania.
But your first ever person you worked for, correct me if I'm wrong, was a kind of like a masculinity blogger.
Yeah, Victor Pride. Bold
That's
Determined.
it.
Yeah.
Bold and Determined Victor Pride.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were helping him with his blog, is that right?
Yeah, so I would help him with researching articles, because that's a huge part of an actual blog. So you have to research and put together outlines, and you turn those outlines and research into a blog post. So I just did the research part. And then whenever I actually moved over to Los Angeles with him, he was launching a book called New World Ronin, and I helped with the editing process, writing sales pages. Then we started producing a podcast. Well, he started producing it. I was behind the scenes and was doing that. And I was only over there for like 3.5 months, and then came back to South Carolina, where my home base used to be. And that was like my initial taste as far as like freelancing, was working with him. And then shortly after that, I started working with Certovich, with the Gorilla Mind products, writing articles and all that. And yeah, I mean, basically from there, I could keep rambling off all the different things I've done.
And you worked for Andrew and Tristan Tate?
Yes.
Kind of after that as well, right?
Yeah, after that was it. Really, like, the initial foundation was built there, but what really allowed me to step into that dream life that I'd always wanted of being able to travel the world was just, I've been building up some rapport with Andrew, and we can get into the organization and all that, but I was already a part of that, like, very, very, very first phase, and he gave me an opportunity to come out and live with him and Tristan, and I moved over there 2019, like August 2019, and started doing some work with him behind the scenes, and that really just opened my eyes. I was like, okay, you're actually out here. You can actually make this happen. This is real.
Yep.
And yeah, a little bit after that, maybe 4 or 5 months later, got into email copywriting, like actually as far as like offering that as a service, and here we are.
I mean, just in that real brief intro, how many different skills did I count? So you did email copywriting, sales page building, blog research, podcasting.
Yep.
There was probably a couple others that I missed. But there's at least like 6 completely different jobs, right?
We'll see. And yeah, I've also written articles, adverts. I've done web design. And the lesson I want you guys to take is I get questions all the time. Dylan, I don't know what skill to try. Try a couple of them. You'll eventually figure out the skill you want.
Right.
Because for me, I had a lot of hesitation, a lot of like self-doubt initially. But then I was like, you know what? I can sit here and just think and think and think, or I can try this skill. So I tried web design. It was not for me. I hated it. I tried writing sales pages. I'm good at it, but I can't stand it.
Right.
Blog articles is fine, but it was only paying me about $100, $150 per article. So for me to hit the income I wanted, it just, now I would delegate it to people. But at the time, I was like, only I could do the work. Mm. So I was like, okay, this isn't realistic. Next, move on to the next thing.
And so you just said, it was only you doing the work to start with, but obviously at this point now you have a degree of delegation going on.
100%.
In your business, right?
Yeah.
At what point was it an income thing, an income level where you're like, okay, I have this much income now, I can afford to start delegating anything? Or was it more of a case of, like, did the money come first, or was the time constraint coming first? And the time constraint on your specific time.
Yeah, so whenever I was living in Qatar at the time, I was exclusively doing emails, and my girl was basically like my first employee. I call her that because she was helping me behind the scenes with managing and all that type of stuff. And I was like, okay, she saves me a lot of time. What if I hire somebody to help me with some of the emails, and I can do the quality control, and I'll still be the point of contact between myself and the client.
Yep.
They'll just handle the writing aspect. And I could just afford to pay them to where it was still kind of worth my while. And it was like night and day. My stress levels dropped, and shout out to Kata. Kata, if you're watching this. Yeah.
Kata the Great on Twitter. Yeah, I follow that guy.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Super entertaining.
Yeah, very. And he helped me out massively. And then from there, I just started growing slowly. And I did make a mistake at one point where I had the money coming in. So I started, okay, I'm going to hire this person. And before long, I was paying out six figures, like literally six figures a year just in salaries for people that I was just keeping around because I liked them or maybe they're a friend. And I had to downsize.
Right.
So now I've got basically a spec ops team of people that act like, okay, your job is to do this, your job's to do this, your job's to do this. And I make sure that it actually is serving the higher purpose, aka putting the content out there, doesn't make me money, etc. Because otherwise, why am I paying them?
Yeah. So that's not where I intended to go, but that's a really interesting thing that people need to understand. Because this is, once you've already scaled up a business, if you're doing freelancing, right? But at what stage or what metrics do you use rather to try and measure whether someone's worth letting go or worth being part of your spec ops team?
So I give anybody like the opportunity to try to work with me and all that, because other people such as Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, they gave me the opportunity. And like, as long as they have that drive and hunger, I'll let them help me with various things, whether I pay them or not. It depends.
Yep.
But I have a lot of people that, hey, Dylan, can I make graphics for you? Hey, Dylan, can I do this? And if they prove themselves, then I'll give them the opportunity to actually have a paid position. Yep. But as far as like, does it make sense? I mean, I only hire for the spec ops team if one, you've proven yourself, but then two, I actually have a need. So if I have a need for it, then what makes sense?
Yep.
Otherwise, no, I don't really just hire as willy-nilly as I used to, because it's business-wise doesn't make sense.
Do you find that you are hiring willy-nilly to just try and alleviate your time and not do the things you didn't want to do, rather than actually making money?
So for me, I started hiring, yes, to save time, but also because I was like, man, I find like I can finally do the things for other people I wanted back in the day. So I started, oh yeah, this is a good guy. Let me give him an opportunity. Oh yeah, I had this Pakistani girl that I hired. She had 2 kids. She was writing emails for me, and I reached a point, actually, this is kind of off topic, I felt like a dick, but I didn't need her at all for like months and months and months, but I just kept paying. I'll find things to make it make sense.
Right.
And I was like, man, I don't want to fire this person because she's depending on me to be able to take care of her kids and all that. So I finally came up with a solution. I was like, okay, Dylan, you're being too nice. And I connected her with a friend of mine and then washed my hands of it. I was like, okay, I'm good. I referred her to somebody else because she was really talented, but I just didn't have any need for her.
Yep.
And so for anybody that's watching this, like if you're at a point in your business, whatever skill you have, whatever business, and you reach that point where you can afford to hire somebody, I highly recommend that you hire somebody for a very specific job. Don't give them, okay, your job's this. Don't do that. Give them a very specific job, something that's consuming your time. That way you can alleviate that time to put onto other things, such as maybe getting better results for your clients, maybe taking on more clients so you make more money. Mm-hmm. And because you need to take on more clients initially, but then after that, don't get locked into this mindset, okay, I've got to keep taking on more. What about if you just retain the clients you have and you find more ways to make money? So an example of that is you start helping with the emails as an example. And then from there, you can help them with their Twitter. And then you can help them with their Instagram. Then you can help them with their YouTube. And now you've turned this one client into 3-4 clients, like the equivalent.
Like 3-4 different revenue streams.
Exactly.
One guy.
And but you have to have a team to be able to make that happen. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to hate life.
So how would somebody like get started on freelance? Because freelancing is really like, the way I look at freelance, I kind of like it because it's like, if whatever I need help with, like a freelancer is someone I go to help me with whatever I'm missing in my business or whatever I don't have enough time for or don't have the skill set for or whatever. Yeah. So how would a young guy get started and get his first bit of experience and then maybe get his first client?
So in the past, I would have told them like, okay, well, you need to ask yourself, what am I naturally good at? And from there, you can kind of determine, oh, well, maybe I've always been that guy that's good in English, so maybe I'm going to be good at writing. Let me pick up email copywriting and start learning the skill and applying it in real time, take on a couple people, get a testimonial out of it, and turn that into an actual paying client. My advice now is get to the real world. I mean, within the real world, I've designed something called the simple steps. And it's literally just steps that you literally follow step by step by step, from picking your skill, picking the niche, getting experience with that skill, taking clients.
Yep.
And I've also got a tutorial, a freelancing tutorial, where it's literally step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can go through all the different like courses, the modules. And then I also teach the skill of email copywriting. But even if you're not interested in email copywriting, the freelancing course also will help you, whether, because we've got a lot of graphic designers, web designers, literally any skill out there, you can monetize it through the freelancing course. And not only that, like, yes, I'm one of the professors. We have all these other professors. Some of them are doing Amazon FBA. Another guy specializes just on copywriting. So literally, it's all out there. The information's out there, but there's no magic pill. You actually have to put in the work. So if you're in the chats every day, asking questions, if you get stuck, ask a question. People are like, oh, this is a dumb question. It's not a dumb question. Just ask the question and then move forward. It only becomes a dumb question if you keep asking questions. Whenever you get the answer, you don't take action on it. So, I mean, that's my best advice right there is you need to start somewhere. Too many people start spinning their wheels. They just research the top best skills in 2022, and they just keep reading all the stuff. If you keep reading, it's just going to make more and more questions. You have to get out into the real world, for lack of better words, and apply it and figure out, like, okay, example for me, I started writing blog posts. I realized it's not going to get me to where I wanted to be. Web design. I was okay at selling it, but as far as the actual work, I hated it. It's like hitting my head up against a brick wall. So then I brought on a partner of mine, and then it just got to a point where it wasn't worth it for either of us. So we put a pause on the business, and then I tried sales pages. Hated it. Like, I cannot stand making sales pages. I don't know what it is about it. I love writing, but sales pages, it's like hell to me. Eventually, I found email copywriting. I was like, oh, wow, I actually enjoy doing this. I'm good at it. So everybody's watching this. You have to pick a skill, and it might not be the first one. You're not married to it. Move on to the next skill. And I guess to give some more context, I'm not saying, because this actually happens, they'll pick a skill and try it for like 3 days. Oh, Dylan, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I've been trying. Bro, you've been doing it for 3 days, literally 3 days. So try it for a month, 2 months minimum. And then from there, yes, you can figure out if this is for you, because everything's going to be hard in the beginning. Just like riding a bike or whatever. Once you get used to it, once you are experienced with it, it's going to become easy.
How would somebody know? Someone who's, say, a young kid, he picks a skill, maybe it's whatever it is, video editing, graphic design, whatever it is, right? Email copywriting. He picks a skill. Does he know at what point whether he should abandon this or like change what he's trying to skill up on? Like, he's not doing very well at this. It's time to quit doing that and pick something else. At what point does he know that versus like he's quitting too early and he hasn't actually tried hard enough? Like, how long would you recommend somebody stick to one particular thing to figure it out first?
So if you've only been doing something for like 2 to 3 weeks and you suck at it and all that, you don't give up. That's quitting. But let's say you've been doing it for maybe months, 2 months, and you've actually been trying. I'm not saying like every other day you kind of try, like every day you've actually been trying on getting, like, actually improving. You know what I'm talking about. And you're still hitting your head up against a wall. Then yes, at that point you should move on to another skill. And if you're within the real world, feel free to reach out to me. Literally just tag me and I'll answer questions all throughout the day. But if you keep reaching that point where you feel like you're hitting your head, example, me doing web design, I could do the basic stuff, but like the actual coding, oh my gosh, it was like torture. At that point, I knew, okay, this is obviously not for me. I either need to hire somebody or I need to find a better skill, which at the time I wasn't as, I guess, awake mentally. So I was like, okay, let me move on to the next skill, because I didn't understand delegation and hiring. This is like 2017. So I just moved on. So if you keep hitting your head up against the wall and it's just not, it doesn't come natural to you. Like for me, writing has always been natural to me. Hence why I always kept deviating and going back to writing, some form of writing. If you're more of a logical, analytical type of thinker, maybe you'll like coding. I don't know. So that my friend is amazing at coding. He's that kid that's been coding since he was like 12.
Right.
But that's just how his mind works. It makes sense to him.
Yeah.
Writing all the different codes up on a board, it's just natural. However, him writing an email or writing just any basic thing like I can do, so he just can't figure it out. So you kind of already know what you're naturally good at, and if you can lean into that, use it as a direction, and then you'll figure it out from there.
You know what? So full disclosure, obviously, Dylan works for Andrew Tate's The Real World. He's one of the professors inside that online university. It used to be called Hustlers University.
Yeah.
Now it's called The Real World because they've upgraded it.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, full disclosure, I've hired numerous guys from that organization. Yeah. And the reason I hire them is because I know that these guys are hustlers.
Yeah.
Like if I know that they're not all going to be quality, performers. They might not, like, for example, the email copywriting campus. I know personally, and I know a few other, Red Pill content creators that get emails like every day from some young kid saying, I can 10x your income.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you really?
Yeah.
Can you? I don't know. How much of getting clients is really that like bravado and like kind of just selling yourself so much versus, especially when you're brand new, right? That sort of maybe it's overconfidence in your ability to deliver. How valuable is that for getting clients versus actually knowing what the fuck you're doing?
I mean, you definitely need a balance of both. For me personally, the overconfidence without being able to back it up is a massive turnoff. And for the students that I teach, I'm like, stop trying to be so salesy, actually have a conversation with them, see how you can actually help them, and be very action oriented. Don't sit there, hey, I can help 10x your income. Say, hey, here's some ideas that I have for your brand. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. If it sounds like something you're interested in, would you let me know if we can get on a call this week?
Okay, that thing.
Yeah.
Get on a call is my least favorite sentence I've ever read. And let me explain why. Because I get that fucking question every day. I get someone ask either it's someone who's looking for a job who is trying to pick, and they've done 90% of it right. They're like, I can help you with this, this, and this. I've got these ideas. Cool. I'm enjoying this until you say, let's get on a 5-minute call.
Yeah.
I don't even get on a phone call with my own fucking father.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like talking to people on the phone.
Same. I'm glad I'm not the only person. Yeah.
Because, and I know this, I'm not the only person who's like this. And especially if you have a business you're running and it's busy, it's like for me personally, it breaks up my workflow. Because a phone call is 100% focus.
Yeah.
I can't really be monitoring something else and working on something,
Yeah.
When I'm at my laptop, I can kind of do two things simultaneously, But if I'm on a phone call, okay, well, everything else is stopped. And the phone call isn't even for me.
Yeah.
In that circumstance, it's for the kid who's trying to get a job.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, maybe you'll disagree with me, but I would say to all of these guys who are looking for clients, the last thing I would say, especially if you're the guy you're trying to get a job off of, is very time poor. The last thing I would say is let's hop on a 5-minute call. Instead, maybe I'd film a video and send him film a video of yourself explaining how you can help him and send it to him, or bullet point. I mean, I would prefer if you just bullet pointed it out for me, so it's super easy for me to read. And I can clearly see the value you can offer me, concrete examples, like you said.
Yeah. Because
that's far more likely to get me to want to work with you, because you, one, respect my time.
Yeah. And
two, you're not bullshitting.
Yeah.
Because the thing I don't like about getting on a call is a lot of the times it's just salesy.
Yeah.
And I've had that experience with other, not guys from your organization, but other, like, I don't know, so we say agencies I've worked with in the past. Whenever the phone call is 99% sales, and it's not like, it's like 1%, here's what we're actually going to do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. That could have been a fucking email.
So what would you say about getting a DM with the bullet points, and then underneath that saying something along the lines of, if you're interested, I'll make a quick video for you.
Yeah, I can elaborate in a video form. Yeah, because that also shows that he's actually willing to put effort in.
Yeah.
Right. That's because that's what makes you stand out. That's the first guy, no joke, the first guy I hired from Hustlers University back in January. I put out, sometimes when I'm looking for a specific role in an organization, I'll put out an ad on my Instagram or on my Twitter, and or sometimes on my YouTube as well. I'll be like, hey, DM me here. I'm looking for somebody who can help me with this particular thing. And this kid was the only one who sent in a video application. He wrote out not a very concise email, and he sent in a video. Yo, Sterling, here's how I can help you. Blah 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 blah. Like really clearly laid it out.
Yeah.
But he put that extra effort in, and I'm like, okay, if he's willing to put that extra effort into applying for a job he might not even get, that tells me something about him. That tells me he's willing to put that extra effort into whatever job I give him, whatever task I set him towards. Like that matters.
Yeah.
You know, the attention to detail and effort really makes you stand out.
So that's something that early on got me started. Whenever I didn't really have my skill set figured out, I still didn't really have much to show. So what I would do is reach out to people, and I would find any little way I could offer value. So for any of you that are sitting there, do you want to? I got a question actually this morning, so I'm talking about this. It's like, Dylan, I really want to work with this guy. He's like a mentor to me. What can I do? Find any way you can to be of value. It could literally just be asking them, how can I help you? But better, show them how you can help them. So notice something about their business that you can maybe help them with. One little example for me, and I ended up hiring them. They're full-time now. I used to do all of my video edits myself on YouTube, literally everything I had to do, and I already didn't have enough time. So my videos would be very inconsistent. Sometimes I'd be dropping a video a day, and then maybe a month, 2 months would go by. And a person reached out to me through Hustlers University, now the real world. Hey, Dylan, I've been a big fan of yours since like 2014. I would love to do your videos. I went ahead and edited 5 videos for you. Tell me if you like them. It was amazing. Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. And they worked with me for about a month. I didn't pay them. They kept doing so much providing so much value. I felt bad. I was like, bro, I want to hire you. How much do you want? Yeah. And I hired them. We started out at like $500 a month, which is still. Yeah. And then because they're doing all my video edits on YouTube and they're helping with the posting, they're managing the content. Now I've hired them full time, and I paid them a very good salary every single month, like a monthly retainer. And all because they reached out to me. They didn't ask for anything. They were like, hey, I've been a big fan. Here's some videos. And then after I liked them, they kept making them. They kept sending them in. And I'm not saying you have to do that forever, but you need to be very long-term thinking and be willing to give and give and give, and eventually you're going to get back.
Did you end up giving him a testimonial as well?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be recording one because I was like, bro, please make a service out of this. Yeah. And so for the past week, he's been trying to come up with like a perfect name or whatever. He's overthinking that part.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you're watching this, pay attention to what he just said. Literally all you need for the video testimonial from me is to just pick a name, make a Twitter account. Yeah. I'll shout you out.
Even your first name is fine.
Exactly.
If you're the one who's going to be like sourcing the clients. Yes. Like, oh, Dylan did this amazing job. Like they're going to be talking to Dylan. Yeah. So that makes sense to like not XYZ agency. They're like, who's that? You know, it's
exactly.
It's a bit obscure to me.
So yeah, at some point in the next week or two, I'll be doing a testimonial for them. But yeah, I mean, just that little thing is, I mean, you've seen the night and day difference with my YouTube channel and Instagram. Yeah. That was all because they saw a problem. Okay, Dylan, obviously he's good on camera, but he sucks at video edits. Obviously doesn't have the time. Yeah. Let me offer to help. Oh, wow. Now they've got potentially an agency right there. Boom.
I saw this question come up a second ago, and it's something I'd be curious to hear what your answer to this is. So we kind of know that, I mean, we both touched on this before we started filming, that we think some kind of recession, or we're already in a recession. Yeah. Some kind of global financial mayhem is definitely coming. So this question is, how does a recession affect your online business, and how much does it affect you? And I mean, I guess what he means by the second part is personally, but have you noticed, the current financial state of things affecting your ability to, one, attract new clients, and two, retain clients? Two separate questions.
I mean, I'm not actively trying to take on new clients at this point.
You've got enough. You've got.
Oh no, I've got plenty. I've actually been focusing that extra energy on my own brand. Yeah. So all the stuff I do for clients, doing that for myself. As far as retaining them, no. I mean, the good thing about being a freelancer is, as long as you're delivering results, why aren't they going to keep paying you unless you're just a dick or something? But if you're a good person, you're getting results, they're more than happy to keep paying you. I will say one thing I have noticed for getting sales for clients, there are longer stretches where sales are a little bit lower than usual. But then like a week later, it like basically just reverses. So I will say people seem to be buying less courses and the high ticket stuff, but then it only lasts for like a week or two and then it goes back to normal. So maybe that's the recession. I don't know, but people do seem a little bit more hesitant to buy stuff now. But once again, that could have been like the holidays or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe. Rewinding the clock a bit. You also used to do a thing called flipping.
Yes.
So when did that come before this kind of freelancing stuff, or was in between it all? And how does that work? Maybe you can explain flipping to me.
Yeah. So I was doing. Well, funnily enough, I'll put it out there. I came back from Los Angeles after doing the first internship thing, and was broke. Literally $142 to my name. I paid a little bill that I had, which dropped it down even more. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't go back to a job. So I quit the job to go do this. I was like, okay, I can't go back like as a loser. I just can't do it. I need to figure this out. And that's funnily enough how I got into flipping, because I'd done eBay back in high school.
Right.
But that was like a very small part-time thing. So I was like, I need to figure out how to make this actually work. So I got into Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and essentially on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, you can find free items, because I didn't have any money at the time. You can find free items, so like a rich person would be giving away a couch, or even just a regular person would be giving away furniture. You go pick up the furniture. Now you can take a better picture, write a good subject line, aka this is copywriting practice. Build write up a body, like whatever, like leather couch, good condition, blah 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 blah, and then boom, now you've got a product that you can sell. You can turn around and flip a couch for 150. The highest I did was 800, but that was like a rarity. So $150, $200 profit from a thing you got for $0. You just have to go and pick it up.
Yeah.
And I only had a car at the time. I didn't have a truck. So I would borrow a friend of mine's truck and give him a little bit on the side. And then eventually I got to where I would rent a U-Haul truck and I had a storage facility. That was much later. And it's one of the easiest side hustles. Anybody that's watching this, specifically the West.
America.
America is the best.
Yeah.
As far as doing that. If you're in the UK, there's something called Gumtree.
Yep, Australia has that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Australia has Gumtree as well.
So yeah, you can use Gumtree, but in America, yes, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and you could also go to places like Habitat for Humanity and a couple other spots, Goodwill, and pick up items for cheap, and then turn around and flip them for a profit. Less profit than obviously if you get something for $0.
Yeah.
And just for me personally, I focused on furniture, but I always recommend people find what seems to sell best in your area. Because I had some money down in Florida that is Fort Lauderdale, and furniture would hardly sell for whatever reason. But he found more success with appliances. So figure out kind of what sells before you put a lot of energy into it. So don't hear me say couches and immediately go pick up like 5 couches. Pick up one couch, see if it sells. Pick up another couch, see if it sells. And then, from there, double down. But the thing I like about flipping is early on, you get to learn copywriting. How to write subject lines, how to write the body. You can take good pictures, so get good lighting, all that type of stuff. And it's an easy way to get money coming in this week. Well, you could literally start making money within a week because you find a free item, take a good picture, you list it, and you can make money. You don't have to sit there and reach out to clients and do all that stuff.
I mean, it's all cash too.
It's cash.
So there's those advantages to that as well.
Very good advantages for entertainment purposes only. Yeah. But you get what I mean.
Like, how much of? So we mentioned before that. Okay, sometimes you're starting out being a freelancer. Maybe you'll start with a certain skill. Yeah. You'll find out you're not very good at it. It's not ideal for you, and you move on to a different skill. How much does that help having had your finger in a lot of different pies at some point?
Yeah.
Like knowing a little about a lot. There's certain, because I find there's certain vernacular, there's certain phrases and words and lingo that goes along with every field, every industry, every area of expertise. And you don't even know what you don't know half the time because you don't know the vernacular to ask the right questions.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, it's helped me a lot because I can bring more value to the table to my clients. So if a client of mine needs a website, even though I'm not a web designer anymore, I understand the very basics of it, and I can articulate whatever their vision is to make the website come to reality. Or with video edits, I'm not the best video editor, but I understand the basics. So if a guy's like, yeah, it's going to take me about 2 weeks to get that video done, but bro, you literally sit down and do it in like 5 hours. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. So it's from that perspective, it's helped me a lot. And then also being able to help other people freelancing wise, I because I've had my hands in so many different things, now I can actually speak from a place of I've actually been there. So it's helped me from a teaching aspect, but also from with my clients, because I understand different worlds. And so whenever they have a need, or I can identify a need before they even see it, and I can understand how to actually make it a reality. Because something I want to really just amplify is don't have all these amazing ideas, have an amazing idea, but actually be able to manifest it. So have like action steps for them. So by me having trying all these different skills, I can, instead of saying, hey, yeah, I think we should definitely have a website, I can say, hey, okay, we need a website. Here are the plugins we need. Here's this. And I have a greater understanding of that now.
Yep.
But that's only because I dabble in all these different skills. It did take me a little bit longer to become a success because I was dabbling, but in the end, and it worked out very well.
Yeah, I mean, had you started with like, I know, maybe email copywriting or something, that might have been a different story.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
If you happened to have found the one thing that you were like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very similar in that regard. Like, I was stupidly broke when I first got into when I first went to LA to shoot.
Yeah.
In my industry, in the porn industry, and I remember there was one point when I got to LA, the second week I was in LA, I had $10 to my name across 3 bank accounts.
I've been there.
Like an Australian one, an English one, and an American one. I had, and the total cumulative value I had amongst those bank accounts was $10. And I had my Airbnb was running out like in maybe like 3 or 4 days time. And I'm like, fuck, how am I going to either get back to Australia because I can't afford to do that, or I don't know anyone in LA, like I'm brand new there, or how am I going to afford like a new Airbnb or whatever? And as luck had it, I had like the biggest breakthrough of my career. Like the next day, I got this call up, last minute replacement, and then bang. Wow. But long story short, like I used to run a meal delivery business.
Right.
I used to run a underwear company. Like I used to be a chemist, obviously industrial chemist. Like I went through a lot of different kind of paths, and I wasn't terrible at them all, but it wasn't like teaching guys stuff. Yeah. I'm a good teacher.
Yeah.
And so I found the thing that I'm like, I combined two skill sets, right? Like one is not rare, but this skill set every guy wants to know.
Yeah.
Which is like bedroom stuff. And my real good ability to teach, like manifested into a business.
Yeah.
And it took me till I said like my 30s to figure that shit out.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm doing quite well now. But you have, I don't want to say you've got all the time in the world, because you shouldn't act like that. You shouldn't think that way. But don't beat yourself up if the first thing that you try doesn't turn you into overnight success.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very likely that it won't. I mean, even our friend Andrew Tate, like people think like he had his success in his cam studio or whatever, right?
Right.
Prior to that, he tried so many different things.
Yeah.
So many different things, right? And we both know that. But no one remembers that stuff. No one really hears about that.
They just see you now. Yeah.
They see the overnight success.
Yeah.
They don't see all the failures that you go through, rather. And that being comfortable with like trying and failing, I think that's super important. Like that resilience to failure, that resilience is what to risk taking as well, is what allows you to be a good entrepreneur, I think.
Oh, see, for me, I just realized if I just never gave up, at some point it would have to work out.
Eventually, it has to work out.
Because I just refused in reality where I was just going to be a loser. Like, yeah, my parents would tell me, "Oh, Dylan, you're going to be that like 30-year-old guy working an entry-level job if you keep up the path you're going on." Blah 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 blah. And I was like, "No, I'm not. I know I'm smarter than that. I just need to keep putting one foot in front of the next." And so that motivated me every single day, even today. That's why I've got the drive that I do. So I just know everything's going to keep getting better and better and better if I just keep showing up.
Yeah.
And it took me 8 years to get to where I actually became a success, to where I felt as if I was a success. Like I can travel, my mom's taken care of, my girl doesn't have to worry about a job, I've got a team, I've got all of that.
Because your mother doesn't work anymore, does she?
Oh no, not at all.
You've tied your mother.
Yeah.
Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
That's fucking fantastic.
I appreciate that. That was one of my initial goals.
Yeah.
I was like, this is why I want to get rich. So yeah, it is one of the, like, yes, the travels and all that's fun, but one of the best, I guess, experiences I've had was whenever I was able to give her a call and tell her that. Man, that it was getting I can feel the lump right there.
Yeah.
But that was an amazing thing. And that was because I just didn't give up and I focused. And at a point you made, you have way more time than you think. So don't beat yourself up. But at the same time, don't be like, okay, I'll just put it off till tomorrow, a year from now. No, you need to make it happen now. But once again, don't beat yourself up. It'll happen when it happens. That's one of the best lessons I learned from a mentor. Dylan, it'll happen when it happens. Just stay focused.
Yeah.
So stay focused on every day getting a little bit better, making time. I'll try to have time. Make time.
Yeah.
You can make time, even 30 minutes, an hour a day, and eventually it'll click and everything will happen as it should.
Yeah, because you're not gonna have, it's not gonna eventually happen if you procrastinate.
No.
If you put consistent daily effort in, then it will eventually happen.
Exactly.
That's inevitable.
Yes.
Right. But like a lot of people will pretend they'll play entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like they'll play like this is some kind of role playing game or something.
Yeah. I get my business card and make a website.
Good Lord.
LLC.
I'll get merch. I'll get branded t-shirts and mouse pads. Like what? No. This is the biggest waste of your time.
Oh, I'm broke now, man.
Yeah, where does the money go? The money that you weren't making. like getting clients and getting customers is like figuring out. Another thing I'll add is figuring out what moves the needle in your business.
Yeah, is massive.
Is super duper important. The earlier you can figure that out, the better. When I figured out what really moves the needle in my business, this was probably beginning of 2021. I probably had my business running for about 8 months prior to that, 6 to 8 months, and then I figured out, oh wait, this one metric.
Yeah.
If I can get this metric to go up, then everything else goes up,
right.
and the dollars go up.
Yeah.
I'm like, so whatever that metric is for your business, maybe it's like getting your cost of goods down, maybe it's getting like your retention rate on your clients up, right? Or get maybe, like you said before, getting how many different revenue sources can you get from one particular client? As that number goes up, everything else looks fantastic. Like whatever that is in your particular business, it's really, really useful to figure that out early on.
Yeah, because you can always find a million things to do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But if you can find those few key things and you just double down on it, one, your life is going to be much better. You can actually take time off. You can actually travel. Because I used to be that guy that I got off for working like 18 hours a day.
Right.
And eventually I realized, I was like, do I really need to be doing all these different things? No, I don't.
Yeah.
And so I dialed it in. I was able to delegate most of it. Most of it I didn't even have to worry about. But I was able to, the few things I really needed to, I could delegate that. And then I found out what I actually needed to focus on. So, and I also want to add this caveat. In the beginning, because somebody called me out, or not called me out, but it's like, but what about me? I still don't have the skill yet. Until you have the skill and until you've actually earned the privilege, yes, you need to be working 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
I had to work so many, yes, in hindsight, I could have done it a little bit more intelligently, but you learn to be able to work smart by earning it, by actually working your ass off.
Because you want to have that work ethic.
Yes, you have to have that.
Because if you don't ever develop that work, if you don't ever work an 18 hours a day and have developed that grit, that hustle, that work ethic in the first place, eventually at some point down the line, you're going to need it again.
Yeah.
There's going to be some point in your business, no matter how successful it is, or how well you're doing, or how specialized you are, where you're going to need to do a grind.
Yes.
You're going to need to all right, for the next week, I'm just locking myself at my desk 18 hours a day. We're going to get this particular problem solved, or this particular product launched, or whatever it is. You're going to have to go back into that occasionally.
Yes, 100%. And then also remind yourself that you're competing against people that example, I've got a guy who's like 23 now, lives in Brazil. Whenever he found me on Twitter, he couldn't even afford a course I had. And so he earned it through his own effort. So he's just helping me out with various things, and I gave him the course.
Nice.
To make a long story short, by the time he was like 22, he was doing 30 grand a month. How? Because he had an insane work ethic. And then he got to focus
30 grand US a month.
US a month.
And he's living in Brazil.
Living in Brazil.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he lives right outside of Sao Paulo. But
so cool.
Literally making more than doctors and all that. But it wasn't magic or it wasn't luck. It was because he literally worked 18 hours a day, every day.
Yeah.
Was like insane, like maybe a little bit more insane than me, like insane.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, and then he reached the point where I was like, okay, bro, you need to stop doing so much work. You need to start building a team. You can't maintain this forever.
And you can't scale that.
No, because he was like, because people know who he is, I'm not going to go into personal details, but mentally it was a strain. And I was like, bro, you either need to like stop doing this or you need to delegate this. And you know the obvious answer.
Yeah.
So he hired a couple people, and now he's loving life. But so you need to work yourself into the ground initially.
Yeah.
And then you can stand up and be like, okay, now I can delegate. Now I can hire one person, two people, three people. I can work a little bit more intelligently. Like you were saying, okay, here's the one thing I actually need to do to move the needle, and then you can focus. But initially, you need to work your ass off.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a big lesson I learned. One, because I had the work ethic, but then I hated life. Because I was working my ass off so much, and I was hardly traveling. I was just, at the time I was in Bogota, locked in the skyscraper, working. Couldn't even stay away from my phone because I would start getting nervous. I was like, is this really why I'm making so? Because I was doing like 25 grand a month at the time. I was like, I'm making 25 grand a month. I can't be away from my phone. I'm miserable. I'm getting fat again. What is going on?
Yeah.
Something needs to change. And I already had a team, but I was still myself. I got a sense of validation, fulfillment from being that guy, the first one up, the last one to go to bed, working all the time. And I'm still that guy, but now I do it more intelligently. Like I can realistically do 2 to 4 hours a day, and my work is done.
Right.
Now, obviously, I've taken my free time, and so I get a sense of fulfillment through what I'm doing with the real world. That's why I partnered with them. So I'm helping, answering questions and all that type of stuff. But my actual bread and butter, that's 2 to 4 hours a day minimum.
Yep.
And then I'm good. But that was only because I worked so hard for so long, and then I figured out what I actually needed to do.
Yeah.
And then I built the team, and then you can start working more intelligently and like just working smarter.
Yeah. There was a couple of cool examples I just saw pop up in this chat of guys who've actually had some success.
Oh, really?
Where was this? The one right back here. I saw 2 kids here. Where was it? Here we go. TJ Davis saying here, I do an extra $2K a month, 70% return on investment on eBay with very little effort.
Nice.
Oh, no, sorry. He said not 70% profit margin.
Ah, okay.
Just still like not terrible. Yeah, I got my first car and motorcycle by flipping up on Craigslist. Started with $100 15 years ago. In 2 years' time, I had a nice running V8 Cadillac, DeVille, Silverado truck, and KTM, all off flipping.
Nice.
That's incredible. Damn.
If you know a lot about cars, car flipping can actually be a really profitable skill.
Really?
Yeah. See, I don't know enough about them to actually be knowledgeable with it, but there's a guy, I forgot his Instagram, but anyways, on Instagram, he does car flipping and kills it. But he's also like a mechanic. He knows a lot about cars.
Right.
Obsessed with them.
Yep.
So if you know a decent amount about cars, you're interested in them, car flipping.
I mean, that probably applies to a lot of things. Like if you're obsessed with something in particular, like you've an obsession about something, like you know more about this thing than anyone else you know.
Yeah.
You're that guy, like he's the car guy.
Yeah.
Amongst his friend group or whatever. Well, you might actually have an opportunity there.
Yeah.
You're not really seeing.
Yeah, you can monetize that, and then you can even build a brand off that as well. Start making YouTube videos, Instagram videos about it. And then at some point later, you can monetize that. So, I mean, now you've turned that interest, that obsession into the flipping or whatever, the service. And then you can also turn it to a personal brand.
Yeah.
Do courses, you do books about it, you can make content about it. So, I mean, right there, you can monetize it.
Yeah. I think with the personal brand stuff, I've seen a lot of people like try the whole YouTube space and just not really do very well at it. And one of the things they try to do off the get-go is make it a brand.
Yeah.
Is make it like a personal brand about, about fitness or about life. Like, I just see so many like young kids who haven't really done much try to be like a life coach or try to be like a business coach or something like this. And I'm like, no, that's like, you have to have like the experience and the experience, the knowledge, and been through the grind first before people will respect you.
Yeah.
And respect your opinion and respect your knowledge and respect that you know what the fuck you're actually talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that experience to back it up, well then it's no wonder no one's going to actually sit there and listen to you.
Yeah.
And like, for those who might be considering going down that path, like YouTube in and of itself is a terrible way to make money. Like the ad revenue side of YouTube is shit.
Really?
It's trash. Well, maybe all my shit gets demonetized because of what I talk about. So maybe I'm not the best person to talk about with that example. Super chats are obviously a great way of making money.
Yeah.
Friends Fresh and Fit do that better than anyone. But what YouTube is really, really good at is it's a great traffic source for anything you have.
Right.
Like eyeballs. It gives you thousands of people that will put an eyeball
Your email list, of course,
on whatever.
Yeah.
You can send them wherever you want them to go. And so I personally look at YouTube as like a traffic source rather than at the top of the funnel, rather than a monetizing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me it just makes more sense.
Yeah.
And like, because not everyone, if you try to do YouTube, most people aren't gonna become like a Mr. Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Most people aren't gonna be that good at it. Like, because you're competing for people's attention, and their attention span is minuscule.
Right.
Like, if you want to be that, like a Mr. Beast or like a Logan Paul or Jake Paul, like they were back in the day, like an entertaining content creator or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not actually the value that those people add to the real world is pure entertainment. It's just eyeballs and getting people's attention. That's their skill set, right? But the reason my channel's done relatively okay, and the reason a few other friends of mine do okay, is because they give like solutions to problems people are searching for answers for.
And you live an interesting life and all of that. Yeah.
If you can solve people's problems for them, which is exactly what freelancers do.
Yeah.
Like, if you can literally solve problems for people, solving problems equals money. Like, it's worth money. I will happily give money if you solve problem A for me. Yeah, it's and there's a lot of people in this world who are cash rich and time poor, or they will pay the cash to have a particular problem solved because they don't know how to do it themselves.
Right.
And they don't really have the talent, not the talent, the inclination towards solving a problem in the first place. That's not their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, one of the things we touched on earlier when hiring guys is I've had one really, really good example in my business. One kid I hire, and I couldn't, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what he was good at.
Yeah.
Because he had so much goddamn passion. He was just constantly trying to get better at everything I threw at him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't amazing at anything I threw at him to start with. Like, I put him in a bunch of different roles, and he was like mediocre at best at each of them. I'm like, God damn it. But his attitude, like, I didn't fire him. Yeah. I didn't let him go purely because of the attitude he had. And he just kept trying to get better. What else can I do for you, Sterling? What else he's asking me every day, how can I get better at this and do that better and do this better, right? And I'm like, motherfucker, like, there's something this kid's going to be good at. And I finally found out what his talent was. And like, once I figured out, oh, he's fucking amazing at this thing.
Yeah.
I just gave him, like, the next opportunity I gave him, he crushed it. And it turned out to be like managing other people. Super good at managing other people.
It's awesome.
Incredible. So he's like, bang. He's immediately like upped his.
And now he's got experience with all those different things as well. So
so he can now direct people a little better. But that as like a young kid, if you're trying to get employment or stay employed, especially, even if you don't quite know what your skill is yet, if you just stay enthusiastic enough, it's pretty rare for someone to like see that. If they've got any IQ, if they see that, they're gonna want to keep you around for something.
Yes. if you have a positive attitude, good energy, and you just take the initiative, I mean, those three things right there are more valuable than other stuff, because the other stuff you'll eventually get trained into it.
Yeah.
So whether it's managing people, that kind of takes a little bit more talent, but like writing, doing like simple tasks, running a live chat, doing sales, whatever, that can be taught. But if you've got the energy, you've got a good positive attitude, and you take that initiative, that's something that you either have it or you don't, in my experience at least. Would you agree with that, disagree with it?
Yeah, some people have a contagious attitude.
Yeah.
And that's super hard to teach.
Yeah.
Like,
what about initiative?
Even this kid, this kid's got initiative too.
Yeah.
Even this kid, I'll be honest, he's a little bit autistic.
Yeah.
Because we've hung out in person. I'm like, okay, this guy's a little bit autistic. Great. Good for him. But like through Telegram, he's like, you don't see the autism.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. Great. Then he can that's the medium. Yeah. He can crush it through Telegram. He does a great job. I'm like, oh, perfect. Found the exact right fit for him. How has because one of the key things I want guys to take away from this is that freelancing, although maybe it's not going to be, at least initially, maybe you're not going to make as much money as someone who say stays in one city and does like a career, a regular job, right?
Yeah.
You might make less, right? But you do have the time and location freedom, except obviously not with flipping because you have to move things around. But with any of these online services, you have that time and location freedom. What's that trade-off kind of like? I mean, I know a lot of Americans don't travel very much. You're a very rare exception.
Yes.
The amount you've traveled, that's super rare. And I know you probably have. I'd be curious to know how many of your students actually come from like outside of America versus in America.
So it's funny you asked that. Now that I'm thinking about it, most of my most successful students are all outside of America.
Right.
The guy, it's an interesting thing. Like the students of mine in America, it's so good and convenient there that they actually have a harder time getting focused and working hard versus the people over in Eastern Europe, South America, Asia. There's man, I need to get this money. I need to make it happen.
Life
what do I need
sucks.
to do?
I need to get out of here.
Yeah. So they all, night and day, they end up working way harder. They're not lazy. Some of them get lazy. Most of them are just crazy. And I'm like, okay, dial it down. Focus on this. Okay, focus on one skill. Stop trying to be email copywriter, graphic designer, web designer, video editor. Focus on this.
Yeah.
And then they start crushing it. But the trade-offs is, I'll give you an example. One of my best friends, he's like a brother. He's known me since the beginning. He's helped me with various projects, but he loves the safety net of having a job. And he's probably doing $6,000 to $8,000 a month right now, finally, through a job. He has a nice BMW that he's paying off every month. He's got a nice apartment. He's got the steady check coming in, but he's stuck. He can only, I'm not going to name drop where he's at, but he can only stay in his city.
Yeah.
That's his entire reality. He'll occasionally come out and travel with me for a week, and then he has to go back to his boss. Versus me, and this back in let's rewind back to 2019, he was making more money than I was back then. 2020, he was still he was making more money than me. Towards the end of 2020, going into 2021, here's his income. My income went like this. Lockdown happened. His income started by that point it already happened, dropped. He had to get another job. His income was right here. My income went up. Now in 2022, it's not even comparable. My income's like this, and he's down here. So initially, the trade-off is, at least and I'll speak for me personally, I was like, man, am I something wrong with me? Am I a loser? I've got all these friends that are driving the nice cars. They have a nice apartment. They're making a six-figure salary. I'm sitting here. I was making $3,000 to $6,000 a month at the time, depending on what time frame you went into. So I was sitting there making $3,000 to $6,000. But I was alternatively though, I can wake up whenever I want. I can, if I decide I want to go to Tbilisi, Georgia tomorrow, I can do it. Yeah, this is worth it. Let me just stay focused and get smarter. And then because I stayed focused and I focused on just providing more value and getting better at my skill and staying focused, and I don't go full degen mode or anything. Yeah. I'm very much just a monk mode type of just focused.
Unlike me.
Yeah.
I go degen every now and then.
Well, you've got a good balance. You're very, very disciplined, but you still can go degen, but you still maintain your discipline. I noticed that.
I mean, I'll let you say that. I'm a bit big of a critic of myself than you are.
But so the initial trade-off is you'll feel maybe like you're falling behind. You're all these other people are doing so much better. But if you stay focused, I mean, bro, like by like 2021, I was doing like 25 grand a month, which none of my friends are making anything close to that. Well, none of my 9-to-5 friends, none of them are doing that. Like obviously versus the Tates, many levels above me, like many levels. But it's all about just staying focused. So the trade-off is, yes, you'll feel like a loser in the beginning, but you can get that freedom because it's realistic to be making 3-6 grand a month as a freelancer. That's more than, it's not enough to live here, but it's more than enough to. I've already spent more than that. I've only been here for like 2 or 3 days, so it's crazy. But like you could live in Paraguay, so in South America. I don't recommend Brazil. You could live there. I just personally don't like it. You can live in Colombia. You can live in Tbilisi, Georgia. You can live in Thailand, Bali, and be living the dream life, only making 3 to 6 grand a month.
Yeah.
And that is if you don't like having to be, hey, daddy, can I take off this weekend? If you don't like having a daddy, if you're a man and you don't like having a daddy, then you'll love freelancing because you become the daddy.
You know what? That story you mentioned, you just told.
Yeah.
I resonate with it so much. When I had my first business and it didn't do very well, and I quit my job as an industrial chem, my career. Like I did a 4-year degree to get a chemistry degree, and I worked in that industry for maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, screw this, I'm getting out and I'm going to try something for myself. One of the main things that was going through my head was, okay, this is a well-paid job, I am capped at how much money I can actually make.
That's something else that really annoyed me about jobs.
It annoys me. No matter what I do, no matter how much work I put in, the salary stays the same until next year, maybe, if I ask for a pay, like I get a pay rise next year. Like
then it's like $1 or $2.
And even then it's fuck all.
Yeah.
It's like a few, like maybe it's like 5 grand over the course of a year. Like, and I'm like, what?
Not taking into account inflation and all the other
taxes, like no write-offs. I can't get any of the write-offs that I can because I've got the business. I've got all these tax write-offs I can apply.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, I can't directly influence how much money I can make if I work a job.
Yeah.
If I work for myself, I create my own business or whatever. I work online, whatever. I have the ability to at least it's, if I'm not making enough money, at least it's my fault.
Yeah.
Like at least the responsibility is on me, and like whether I win or lose, I still have that control.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I liked having the control of whether I succeed or fail. And that really resonated with me because I felt the same thing. I quit my job and I saw everyone else I graduated with, they all got either cushy like government jobs or they end up working for like big engineering firms, and I'm like, and they're crushing it. They're making like $200K a year or whatever like that, like out of like pretty quickly out of like university. I'm like, son of a bitch. And I'm sitting there like broke, grinding every day, like waking up at weird hours because I'm like doing business with Americans and I'm living in Australia, and I'm like, is this really worth it? And then like flash forward to where I'm at now, I'm like, they're all jealous of me. And it's like you can make that happen. You have to have the tenacity to push through that period of being uncomfortable. Because if you're not willing to do what most people aren't willing to do, you'll get the exact same results that most people get.
100%.
That if you want to live in that cozy comfort zone, okay, that's exactly what a career and a salary job are for. If you're okay, if you're comfortable with the uncertainty of being self-employed, well, then you can create something amazing for your life.
Yeah, like for me, whenever I had a 9-to-5 job, I was always anxious because I was like, I'm going to work hard regardless, but I know that no matter how hard I work, my income's not going to go up. And eventually, I ended up just dropping out of the job I had because I drove for Uber, and I think I did it for maybe a day or two, made $75 for like less than 3 hours of work. I was like, boom, that's how I'm going to make money. So I put my 2 weeks notice in, and also at the time broke up with the girl I had. So I was like, she wants the guy that goes to some regular job, has an apartment. I don't want to do that. I want to travel the world. I don't want to have anything tie me down, and I want to have my own business. And that just wasn't her vibe. So I was like, okay, that's going to be a distraction. Done. We're done. So broke up with her. So I kind of I was like, man, because whenever your bank account, you're trying to sit there, should I get this gallon of water with a loaf of bread, peanut butter and jelly, or sacrifice that, just get the ground beef and no. Okay, something's wrong with me. No, whatever. So I just focused on that. And I was like, I'm not a loser. Maybe I'm lost. I need to find a way to make money, because the Uber thing, I left this detail out. I'm from Charleston. At the time, Uber's still kind of new in that area. And there's some battle going on between the taxis and them, and they made it increasingly harder to make money as an Uber driver. So I went from 3 hours for $75 to I timed it one time 12 hours to make $100. And I was driving a Grand Marquis, which is basically an undercover cop car is what it looks like. Did 15 miles to the gallon. It was bad. So I was actually losing money. And so I would just sit there for what felt like an eternity. It was probably a week or two, looking up the ceiling, contemplating life, how am I going to make money? What am I going to do? And I stumbled into something called basically parking lot cleaning, groundskeeping. So I would be this weirdo at 3 a.m. listening to a podcast, some motivational podcasts, picking up trash, putting it in a bucket, and then I would finish the Publix parking lot, and then I would go to the Walmart parking lot, and then I would go to an apartment complex. And I could bore you with the details, but basically that was my job for that time. It was a 1099 type of situation, so you're self-employed, whatever. And then so I would do that from 3 a.m. to around 11. After that, then I would go home, and that was when I'd do the Craigslist flipping. So I had 2 income sources from just doing that. And I ended up putting that on hold to do the internship with Victor Pride, came back broke, focused on the flipping, because I had a contract for the groundskeeping. I usually wouldn't do this, but as soon as he told me, I need you to be on the next flight out, I literally booked the next flight out. And I called the property manager. I was like, hey, I sent them a text. I was like, hey, so I don't like to be that guy, but I'm in Seattle waiting for my flight to Los Angeles. I have somebody that can take over my position, but I'm no longer going to be taking care of the properties, blah, 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 blah. And I gave them the contact information, and then had that person, his name's Brian, reach out to them as well. And I blocked the number because I didn't like the confrontation. I was like, nope. Just blocked it. And so whenever I came back broke, because I'd spent all my money being in Los Angeles, it's expensive. Marina Del Rey, it's expensive there. I was like, I really wish I could get back into the cleaning. So that was good money. But let me focus on the Craigslist thing. Yeah. So that was my only way to make money initially. And then I ended up getting back into the cleaning because I ended up running into them in the store, and it was nothing had happened. They liked me. So I was like, unblock, or you text them. And but as you were saying, you will go through moments of self-doubt. You'll feel like, man, what am I is this actually a good move? And it is. If you actually want a better life, you have to do things, and you have to struggle, and you have to suffer, unlike what other people are willing to do. My very good friend that I was talking about earlier, he doesn't like the idea of not having a guaranteed paycheck. He likes the flashy things. Now, I like the flashy things too, but I was also willing to put up, I didn't have all that stuff. I could show you, I'll show you so we don't distract from the podcast. I'll show you after this what I used to live in. I visited it recently when I went to visit my family for Thanksgiving. And I could only be in there for 30 seconds because it was so disgusting. I was like, how did I live in this? Just basically it was one of the chair or the couches that folds out into a bed. Yeah. And I just slept on the couch itself.
Bro, but I've multiple times. Yeah. I've had multiple couch sessions.
Yeah, the wall is carpet. Literally, the wall is a psychedelic carpet. The lights don't even work. The toilet is bad. It's bad. And then even the shower itself, I had to use a wrench to turn it on. And then I would have to stand back because rusted water would come out. And then it would turn into regular water. And I lived like that for years. But I was like, but this allows me to focus, so I don't have to worry about having $1,000, $2,000 a month rent. I just focus on this. My friend, his dad, just let me stay there. So I was like, this just makes sense. Yeah. I'm just going to keep putting up with this. And as I was in there for 30 seconds, all these memories are coming back where I'd be over in the corner at my desk, typing away at an article that I was about to send to Victor, or typing away on an advert I was about to send to the Gorilla Mine Company, or designing websites. And it made me smile, but then I very quickly closed the door and got out of it. But you have to go through that.
Yep.
Like most of you watching this, you don't come from a rich family, so you're going to have to go through that. You're going to have to suffer and struggle and feel as if you're maybe a loser. And maybe you are a loser, but if you just don't give up, eventually you'll become a winner like us.
Exactly. You know what? People, a lot of reasons why people prefer to have that salary job, whatever, like you just said, is because they want the comfort of having a regular income.
Yeah.
I've been the guy who's paying the salary.
Yeah.
Right? Like, of the dude who is working for me because he wants that regular, cozy, guaranteed income.
Yeah.
Let me guarantee you right now, as the man who has paid that guy, it ain't guaranteed.
No, not at all.
Because like, it's just, you're just blissfully ignorant of whether or not the business is solvent.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Like, you're living in this fantasy land with your salary, your weekly paycheck or your monthly paycheck. Yeah. You're like, this money comes from the sky every month forever. No, it doesn't. No. If the guy who's paying you like runs out of cash, guess what? You ain't getting paid. That magical money fountain just disappeared. There's not that is literally a delusion.
Yeah.
Like, as comfortable as it might sound, that is literally a delusion. Like, you could get, and I don't mean you could get laid off. I'm literally saying like the business could become completely insolvent. Yeah. Well, you've got no idea what's going on because you're not that high up the ladder.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the people that are on like my spec ops team, I'm always telling them, like, treat what we're doing as if it's your own business. And they come up with ideas on different projects we can launch together. And of course they get cuts of that. Nice. So yes, they have the base salary, but they can also make percentages if they actually come up with an idea. And if I have to fund it, I get a little bit more. But outside of that, if it's something, most services, you don't need much money to start it. They can like bankroll it themselves, and I will help. I'll market it. I'll help guide the act behind the scenes, but then they can actually make money from it. And so for anybody that maybe you have people that work for you, look at it as a team that all of us were building together, and actually encourage the people that work for you to go off and do other things and to treat your business as their own business and to help just build things out. Of course, you're always the decision maker. If you're not the decision maker, what are you even doing in business? But the money's not going to be around forever. The business isn't going to be around forever. I initially started out as an email copywriter, but then eventually I started scaling it out into different things. And that's what has allowed me to continue ascending and going up. And I totally agree with that. If you sit there and you think that this paycheck's going to be there forever, it's a delusion. So if you are working for somebody, you should find other ways, whether it's taking on more clients, great, or you can find other ways that, if let's say you're a freelancer now, how can I bring more value to the table for this person? How can I help make them more money? Yep. That's part of why I started the email copywriting thing. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm putting all this time into Twitter. This guy's tweets suck. Why don't I help write some of their tweets? And then I can leverage that to send people to the email list, which then once again makes them more money. And then I had success with a client of mine's Instagram account. I was like, man, this is actually increasing sales. Why don't I try to offer this to one of my other clients? My girl is really good at making graphics. She can make the graphics. I can help do some of the copy. And then I've got these salespeople that we can help run the DMs. Okay, this is another service. And then with the YouTube stuff, I knew an editor at the time. He's not the guy that I was talking about earlier, but this was like a year and a half ago. So I started helping manage YouTube channels as well. So you can then turn, yes, it is delusional if you think this one client's going to pay you for eternity, but if you can create more value for them and you can become irreplaceable in that sense, it does make it less of a delusion, but that's why you also need to have another client, which is why I recommend people have 2 to 4 clients minimum. Otherwise, yes, if you're just working for that one client for the next 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, something might actually happen, and then you get used to the certain income, certain lifestyle, and then you're like, "Hey, Mom, can I come?
How's that couch?
Can I come home?" Yeah. So don't buy into that delusion. Don't allow it to possibly steal your dream life. Always be thinking ahead. So if you're sitting here, you're working a 9 to 5, you need to start flipping, especially if you live in America, get that extra source of income coming in. And then also you need to be learning another skill that will eventually pay more than the bills that you can offer online. Yes, you could offer the freelancing stuff offline to like local businesses, but I recommend if you want time freedom and you want to be able to travel and all that, such as we do, you need to offer that via the internet. In my very biased opinion, you need to offer it through the internet. Social media specifically is a great way to reach out to clients. And then from there, as you take on your one client, don't immediately try to take on your next client. Get your first paid client, deliver results for them, and work for them for 6 months to a year straight. And yeah, some people will disagree with me, but I would rather you be in the long game than just you had this one initial hit of success and you take on this next client. This guy's results start going down, and you think you're winning, but then before you know, you got to go back to a job. Stick with this one client for 6 months to a year. Get really good at what you're doing. Get a predictable kind of system to where this is working. Now let me take on the second client, apply that system, and eventually refine it to where you can essentially guarantee results. Don't guarantee results from that one client because maybe they just got really lucky, or maybe you just got really lucky with this one client. But figure out a system, apply that system to the second client, get results for them, and eventually you'll kind of figure out like, okay, I can actually, as you were saying earlier, 10x your income. You can have data to back that up. That's a big thing. Actually have data from clients to back it up. That's one thing that I leveraged to take on clients back in the day is I would say, here's how much money I've made. One of my clients, what's today's date? Today's date is the 3rd. So I'd say, here's how much money I've made one of my clients for the past 3 days of this month. And I would show them an actual screenshot. I didn't have to say, hi, I will 10x your income and blah, blah, blah. Here's how much money I've made one of my clients. Here's some ideas that I've got for you. It's easy.
It's concrete evidence.
Yes.
I'd much rather see someone might say, okay, you could Photoshop a screenshot, but I've actually heard people say that about some of the testimonials I post as well. Like people be like, oh, that's probably Photoshopped. I'm like, do you realize how annoying that would be?
Yeah.
To the level of effort that it would be required to fake it. It's easier just to get the results.
Yeah.
So if I were ever to receive an email from somebody trying to pitch me like that, and they've got clear, concrete results in that email, okay, client X, even if it's anonymous, even if I don't know who the client is, it's fine. It's these actionable results. Okay, cool. Now I can at least start. Now I'm actually interested in having a conversation with you.
Yeah.
It's all right, okay, well, let's talk. Now we can talk. How did we do this? How did you do this exactly? What industry are you in? Is that going to apply to me? Am I going to be able to replicate the results?
Yeah.
Cool. Now we can actually have a back and forth.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because without that, you're coming to me. It's kind of like someone's coming to you with you're asking for something.
Yeah.
With an open palm like that.
That's another thing. Whenever you're reaching out to people in the DMs, stop telling them how I'm an email copywriter and I'm this and this and I this, me. You're obviously coming to them because you want money.
Yeah.
You want to work with them. So make it about them. Don't make it about you.
Totally.
That will change the dynamic completely. Because all the people, I get so many DMs, I know you do as well. People just asking, trying to take, and it's just me. I'll speak for myself. I ignore them. I don't give them any time. If it's somebody I recognize, maybe they've engaged some of my tweets or something, I'll direct them in the correct way.
Yeah.
But versus somebody like the person I'm now paying full time, and you better pick a name so I can help make a testimonial. Came to me and he offered me videos, just offered me value for an entire month. He just kept making because he realized I liked them. He kept editing the videos, and now I'm paying him. So it wasn't about him. It was about Dylan. Yeah. Dylan has. I'm a fan of his. I'm sure in the back of his mind he was thinking, "Oh, I want money from this guy. I want to be able to work with him." Yeah. I'm sure he was thinking that, but he didn't come at me like that initially. It's just, "Hey, Dylan, fan of yours. Here's some videos for you," and he kept providing value. And then he got what he wanted in the end. Okay. I'm going to make a testimonial video for you this week, and hopefully get you some more clients. But yeah.
There was a book I read when I started my first business.
You read quite often, right?
Well, I say read. I used to read on my Kindle, and then I found audiobooks, and so I switched everything up to audiobooks.
Yeah, I've been trying to read a little bit more.
Audiobooks,
cybernetics or whatever. That's what I've been reading since coming here. Yeah.
Audiobooks, they 10x my ability to get through a book because I'm a super, super slow reader, and I knew that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I discovered audiobooks. I was like, oh shit! Like I can make use of downtime, and I can actually
I'll get into
get something way, but doesn't really translate for every book. I found that books that come like biographies and stuff like this, like Richard Branson's biography or Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography, these things, they're really good to have audiobooks because it's a story.
Yeah.
And you remember it. You'll remember the lessons in it because it's a story. Mm-hmm. Whereas if it's more of like a logical facts and numbers book, it's really hard to kind of get that through audio.
So you need to read them? Okay.
I find that those are books I need to read. But this book I read when I started my first business, it was called Trust Me, I'm Lying, Confessions of a Media Manipulator by Ryan Holiday.
That sounds kind of familiar. I don't think I've read that.
You might be familiar with who Ryan Holiday is.
Yeah.
That book is fantastic. Speaking of, going back to your point about making the email about them, not about me. So first business I'm from my kitchen in Australia.
Yeah.
Like on the other side of the planet. By applying the principles he teaches in that book, I managed to get published in like Forbes, Business Insider, like no shit. Like just from cold pitching people by email.
Yeah.
And one of the big things he teaches in that book, he talks about how he was able to manipulate media companies and to get free press for him and his companies, the companies he was representing. And one of the ways he did that was to basically do the journalist's job for them.
Hey, I've got this interesting story,
well, you literally write the story. You kind of almost write the story, and you write the headline as the subject line. If you think about that, okay, I'm a journalist. I want to save time. I just want because a journalist is under pressure to produce content every day. That's how they get paid per clicks too. So the more if you can solve two problems for a journalist, one being like clickbait, right? Some kind of crazy controversial angle, and two, basically writing the story for them, as in not necessarily like pages and pages, but like, okay, here's like a paragraph, which if you make the first like intro sentence is like, hey, here's how I can add value to you. I think this story would go really well in your website or blog or your newspaper because of these reasons, because of this audience. Subject line is literally like what the headline would be. And if they're clicking that, then they know that other people will click it because they're
taking notes of this in my mind. I'm going to test this. Yeah.
And then you can kind of give them like this without being condescending.
Yeah.
And without telling them that this is what the story should be. You're basically giving them the story, and they're like, "Huh, interesting."
Oh, yeah, thanks. And
bang.
I've got a story.
Yes, straight away, and it worked. And the other really key aspect of that. So that is what allowed me to actually run a successful Kickstarter off that, like a $30,000 Kickstarter off that.
Wow.
First time I ever tried anything like that, and it was pure from like in my underwear in my kitchen, sending emails at like 2 a.m. in the morning Australian time to all these journalists in America, and got published like a bunch of them. The other key aspect that he teaches in that book is kind of like baby stepping your way up the food chain.
Yeah.
So you always start with small, tiny, little niche blogs. Let's say if it's about like if travel is like the niche you're in, you find like a really, really tiny niche travel blog and you pitch the story to them first, right? Because they're super desperate for stuff to write about because they're tiny.
Yeah.
And then you get maybe like 4 of those guys to take your story. Okay, and then you go up the chain to like a slightly bigger blog.
And this is the same story or
same exact. Basically, so not the exact. You might necessarily say the exact same thing, but it's basically about your company and about your product or your service or whatever it is you're trying to get them to write about.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll change the angle slightly here and there because maybe this blog is really specific and it's maybe travel based.
Yeah.
This one's a bit more generic.
Yeah.
And then this one's like a business blog. But as you work your way up the chain, you use the previous. So the next step up the chain, I'd use the previous guys. Like, oh, by the way, this blog, link has written about this.
Yeah. God.
Social proof. Yeah. And then you do the same thing, the next layer.
Yeah.
And that's exactly like cookie cutter formula for getting free press, like anywhere on the planet. And the website you go to get the contacts is called Help a Reporter Out.
I'm writing that down.
There's some free advice. Haro, Haro.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's an email that you can sign up to. You get daily updates of basically leads and pitches that journalists are literally looking for.
Yeah.
Like, I want someone who's an expert on pianos.
Yeah.
You can email them directly. But I'd also I did some of those, and I also went directly to like I found the blogs, found the contact info, pitched the guy directly, and then again did the same thing with everything.
Well, it's funny you brought that up because on Monday I'm watching this video where I can't stand the charity videos where they, hey, look, I'm giving you this free month. I didn't do that. What I did is when I interviewed this really interesting woman she takes care of horses, monkeys, cats, dog, like cow, like all this different type of stuff. Okay. And she funds it out of her own pocket. She gets some donations and stuff like that. But I just wanted to hear her story because her dad is like a political prisoner and just a crazy story. And I've been trying to think, how can I get the press to talk about this?
Ah.
And you just gave me the ansser. Excellent. So I'm going to get on that as soon as we get off of this. I'm going to get onto it.
Good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's an awesome freebie. All right, Don. Where can everybody find you? What's the best social media links to find you? And then obviously where can they get their hands on your lessons, like your real deal lessons?
So I mean, every day I'm on Twitter at MoneyBagLives, but I'm also at YouTube, Dylan Madden. Just go to YouTube, type in Dylan Madden. Trying to grow that. My goal is 10K by the end of this year. We'll see if we can make it real. Dylan Madden at YouTube or on YouTube, or at MoneyBagLives on Twitter. And the best way, if you want to get lessons from me, because I just recently took all of my courses down and I moved them within the real world. So if you just go to therealworld.ai, I believe that's the direct link.
Yep.
You can go there and join the freelancing campus. It's the best campus. Wink, wink. Join the freelancing campus. And any questions you have from you guys, let me know there. And are there any last questions we need to answer here? Or?
No, that's it. Everyone was just sitting there quietly, patiently listening, actually.
Okay, good.
Do you think, Joseph says, do you think putting yourself out in general forms works to bring in clients on social media platforms? I'm not even sure what that question even means, to be honest.
Do you think putting yourself out in general form works to bring clients on social media platform? I don't understand that question.
Yeah, sorry, Joseph. I'm not really sure what you mean by general form. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
The key on social media with getting clients is just showcasing that you actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, example, I'll use emails. I would put together, I would grab some of your emails, some of this other guy's emails, and I would rewrite them. Say, hey, I rewrote Sterling's emails, and I would at you. I took this guy, I rewrote his emails at him, and I would turn it into a thread, where I would take one of their emails and turn a thread into how they could have made it better, or why this email probably worked well. And you can just showcase in that way that you actually know what you're talking about. Alternatively, you can, and I don't want you to do this in a ridiculous way. Like, here's how I made my client $5 billion this year, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. But actually, if you learn something, once you start working with clients, you can say, here's how I increased my client's revenue by X% with a screenshot. And then you can back it up with supporting evidence, whether it's more screenshots or just actually showing that you know what you're talking about. And then you can make videos about, example, if you have a fitness brand on Twitter, here's why you should have an email list.
Yep.
And just make a quick video like that, or make a quick thread. I recommend video because they can really see that you know what you're talking about. And just make a brand about that. And as far as keeping it general, I don't really recommend that. I always move people, and you don't have to do this. For me, the reason I say it, my thought process is you need a direction to go in. So pick some overall niche that you want to work within, whether it's within fitness, whether it's within crypto, whatever. And that is your niche that you're going to start taking clients and offering your skill to. And it also makes it easy to identify clients you're going to work with. Example, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but example, whenever you're trying to find clients on, let's say, Twitter, go to the search bar and type in crypto. And then you can go, whoever you're already consuming on a day-to-day basis, this is actually a really good way. Go through who they follow. Because if they follow them, I'm not saying they're 100% a great person, but they offered something enough value for that. Like, let's say if I want to go through your followers or who you're following, you obviously follow them for maybe some kind of reason. Maybe they actually offer value. And I would identify people that if I was in the crypto space, who does Sterling follow that's within the crypto space? And I'd put together a spreadsheet of all these people and their ads. And then I would start reaching out to them after I built up a little bit of rapport, follow them, reply to some of their tweets, an actual genuine reply, not retweet bro, actually reply with, oh, Sterling, when you said this story, it really reached out or spoke to me because XYZ happened to me too, blah, 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 blah. You see that. So now I'm in your reality. and then you reach out to them in the DMs, and you can offer something very specific that's about them, not about you, and how great you are at whatever you're offering, like how it can actually help them. And then boom, now you're in their world, and maybe you're gonna send them a video, not get on a call.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get into their world, and maybe you'll close them as a client, or you'll at least get some experience with them. If you're on Instagram, basically the same thing. And don't look for people that have like 200 followers, or even worse, that person has like 10,000 followers and gets like one like or no likes in their tweets. Obviously doesn't have an audience. So find people that actually have an audience, so they're actually getting some likes, retweets. Ideally, they have a product, because how else are you going to make the money? So they have the products sorted. They maybe have some customer reviews, even better. You crush it with the reviews. You have so many reviews in all your products. But then they also have an audience that you can help monetize. So if you can identify all those different things, that's possibly a good person for you to work with. And literally the same advice goes to Instagram as well. Except the only difference is on Instagram, actually go through their comments and see if this is actual people.
No bots.
Not bots.
Yeah.
So outside of that, that's how you find clients on Instagram and Twitter.
And with Instagram doing like videos with like either screenshot testimonials or video testimonials works really well. I know that much.
Yes.
I don't know if you know who Brandon Carter is.
Oh yeah.
Like, so he does it really, really well with his fitness coaching clients.
He does Instagram better than basically anybody I know.
Amazing.
Now.
I mean, so, like, it helps that he's super jacked.
Yeah.
That doesn't hurt. But given he's in the fitness niche.
Yeah.
But his video testimonials that he does on his stories and his reels are really, really good, because it's just him. It's him sitting there on a call with his client, and they're bigging him up.
Yeah.
He clips that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's a perfect way of utilizing a video testimonial on that particular platform.
He does it very well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So once again, at Dylan Madden on YouTube.
Yeah.
At Moneybag Lives on Twitter.
Right.
Instagram is at Real Dylan Madden.
Yeah, at Real Dylan Madden.
Those are the three best places to find you.
Yeah.
And then obviously go to therealworld.ai. We'll put a link in the description down below. If you guys need to go straight to the real world, if you want to join the freelancing campus or any of the other campuses that are the best campus. If you or any of the other campuses that are there inside the real world, you can learn to make some money making skills, get some financial freedom, get some location freedom.
Yes. Especially with the way the world's going now.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. That's a topic for another day.
Yes.
But thank you very much, Dylan.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys for watching. And we're going to enjoy this beautiful city of Dubai.
Let's do it.